Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
And welcome to the podcast, guys. This is the How Did They Grow podcast. And today we have Raquel Vesaga. Did I get that right?
Yes, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself, Raquel.
Little about myself. I am 48, soon to be 49. Wow. I have 2 kids, 28 and 21. I'm one of 5, born in East LA, and started coaching via a yoga studio that I opened 20 years ago. One thing led to another. And in 2015, I started doing something called theta healing. I became a certified practitioner, and one thing led to another. And here I am. And I started just solo coaching myself, where it was me seeing clients, and COVID really blew things up. I've never advertised and I've never marketed. I just hired a marketing company yesterday, but I've never done actual marketing or advertising. I've only grown because of word of mouth. Like, we have had a very strong word of mouth. I've had people like pay for their friends, for their family. I've had people fly people in from across the country to come and do some of the workshops or do a session with me. And we've just grown because we deliver. And when COVID happened, that word of mouth exploded through the roof, to the point that right now I have a total of 5 active coaches outside of myself. So I train them in the system of how I get people the results, and we're just kind of like evolving and growing here.
That's great. That's great. That's amazing. I think, what you said about, it's kind of like reverse engineering the process of getting clients is like, you have to focus on delivering so much that word of mouth is inevitable. And I think that's amazing.
Yes. I think that one of the things that I took on early on, being an athlete in school as a child, is and I like this from Oprah, said it too, like how she became the best televised show was she never looked at anyone else's rating or competed with them. She just was always trying to top herself, right? And I remember as a child being in the track team, my brother taught me, don't look at the runner in front of you because it's going to feel so far away, and don't listen to the runner behind you because you're going to start fearing it and it's going to creep up on you. Just know that every step you're pushing and giving it your all. And that's how I just neurologically, like a neuroencoding from my childhood, really trained me. That's how I do life. And so when I got into coaching, I didn't seek to be the best or anything. I just always wanted to know that I was giving my best. And so I developed so many different modalities, and that just kind of gave me what we are today.
I think that's amazing. I think this is a good, segue to transition into your coaching and your offer. And so tell us about your offer, people you help. How do you help them? How does that come about?
So initially it started sexual abuse, because I myself have been sexually abused, and that was like a big thing that I overcame. I overcame it to the point where I realized there was nothing for me to forgive. And so I always, when I work with people, I let them know that that's a process. Like, that's not just lightly said, right? I've had people tell me that, like, when, let's say, their husband cheated on them and they feel like their life is broken into pieces, and I'm telling them, one day you'll be thankful for this. Like, trust me. They said, I want to kick your teeth in until you get out of my house, right? Because I used to do house calls. And so, yeah, a lot of it when I started was sexual abuse, infidelity, I have a hard time with my sister. I have no connection. Just kind of like disenfranchised with their parents, just different things that bothered them or created pain and suffering, right? And so because that's a lot of where I came from, which was a lot of healing. After a while, it grew into like grow. And so I started getting a lot of clients that they weren't necessarily feeling the pain of, things that they had gone through, but they weren't getting the promotion, or they weren't getting, able to get a date or like marry, and so it was something within them that they knew, and they kind of wanted to figure that out. So then it was very much a grow. And then present day, a lot of the Visaga coaches deal with a lot of like the pain and suffering and guiding them to peace and happiness, where I'm more of an executive coach of the company today. So I'm dealing with people that I've helped get valued at $100 million company. And when I started them, maybe they hadn't even, done their first million. I'm working with people that were getting them on Forbes 30 under 30. I'm working with people that are now being called by agents like, hey, we want to make you $100 million man. Or I'm working with companies that we've doubled and tripled their growth in a year or two from working with them, right? So that's why our thing is heal, grow, slay. And we do that whether it's they join our program is what we really recommend. But when you're dealing with executives and the type of schedules that they have, they just need that one-on-one. And so I facilitate.
Yeah.
So those are the two kind of, we're really a full spectrum, whether it's something that you're just struggling and you're just unhappy, unsatisfied, unfulfilled, or deeply in anxiety or depression. We help a lot of that. Heal. The grow, it's kind of like that's not you, but you're also like not in the sweet spot of life. And then we call it BHAGs, the people that have big, hairy, audacious goals, the iconic goals, the ones that people might laugh at you. So yeah, heal, grow, slay. Like wherever you are, we have what it takes to like deliver on that.
Yeah, and push you to the next level. I think that's amazing that you have like, the mind, you're focusing on business and all that. I think that's great. What I will say, like, I wanted to ask you something. Okay, yeah, tell us a little bit about, Raqueling. Is that it?
Oh my gosh, that cracks me up because for the longest time, a good chunk of my base, my core students was how, and I Raqueled them, or don't be Raqueling me. Like I have a family of 4 and they were like, don't start Raqueling me. So that's just so funny that you say that, because like that's actually a thing. So I don't know, like Raqueling as far as the coach, I just see things, I'll give you a little example. I grew up from birth to about 8 years old in what could be like a dream situation. We had a nanny. I got to go to the movies and Farrell's. Farrell's is like this, they come out with drones and there's games, entertainment, that was a weekly thing for me. And I just never knew, I never struggled for, I never knew what it was to, go hungry or anything like that. And shortly after that, my mom left my dad and she fast forward to go with my stepdad, and our life dramatically changed. I mean, you're talking about me having my own room, having a nanny, to we're 6 men in a 1-bedroom, almost studio looking apartment. And then shortly after 2 months, we moved from there. Then the house is nice there. And then like shortly after 3 months later, we moved from there. I don't know if the rent was too high, whatever. And then we moved into a house that was not good. I mean, the rats were infested everywhere, the roaches. And so all of a sudden, there's days where we didn't know we were going to eat. I remember the 4th of July was like a holiday every month because that's when food stamps would come in. So if you can just look at like the drastic measures of one spectrum to the other. And so Raqueling is that I think that when you take me from such polarization of the situation, there was this intrinsic in me to know, how do I get back to that? And so how do I get back to that? Because I know what life's supposed to be. It's different if you were just in it all the time, right? And so fast forward, I start taking the bus to downtown LA, going to the wholesale, buying earrings, coming back to the laundromats, retailing them at 2-3 times the amount, making a profit, making so much profit. I then get a swap meet post. My mom kind of backs me up on that. My parents were, immigrants. They really didn't know. So I was always the interpreter, the translator. So my brain really had to operate at a high level. And so when you call Raquel, and here's the thing, people would tell me, oh my gosh, like, how did you think to do that, to go to LA? And at first time I was like, yeah, how did I think? But then I thought about it and I was like, oh, I saw that when my mom had a girlfriend that owned a clothing store, and we would go down to LA with her. My mom would get clothes for me wholesale, and her friend would get clothing for her store. And so I knew about wholesaling. I knew about retail because my dad was an owner of a store as well. So I was raised in that. So nobody's self-made. Like that was already because of my surrounding, my environment. And so Raqueling to me is just that I'm very inquisitive. And so I'm not a coach that tries to tell you that you're doing something right or wrong. I'm just a coach that likes to ask questions. And it's like, is this really like in your highest and best interest? And I think that just, you could look at I could sit down and be devastated, or be like, I don't know, just shut down because of the polarization from, my childhood. However, Raquel is just, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to figure it out. And I owe that a lot to my stepdad. I love him dearly, even though we went through a lot of stuff. He was very ingenious, and I feel like I got that a lot from him. Like, I'm going to figure out a way. Do I go over it, under it, on the side? Like, I'm always looking. So that's what Raquel, if you ask me, like, what makes me, I'm just curious. And I'm going to push the envelope and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. So like, just to wrap it all up, if I say, hey, you're Raqueling me, what do I mean?
That I'm challenging you, that I'm maybe calling you out on where you're trying to bullshit yourself, that you're putting a limitation that is only because you're deciding to be in a very binary state. Yeah, I convict. I had a friend that said one time, oh, people think they want to go out to lunch with you. They don't want to do that, and he meant that because at my yoga studio, everyone's always like taking me out to lunch and like they want to spend time, or it's like, oh, is Raquel coming to the party or whatever, right? And he was like, they think they want to spend time with you, but they don't, because we would just sit down to eat and he'd say something on it and I would just pop a question that would like unravel his whole like why we do things. And I don't do that on purpose. I just like, I call out bullshit because that's what I do to myself. Like the reason I was able to create the curriculum and the system that I did for my company, my coaching company, is because I called myself out. Like I constantly like, what is this trying to teach me? How did I create this? I love this statement. I forget where I've heard it, but everyone likes to, nobody likes to take responsibility for themselves. That life is not because of your dad, not because of your childhood, not because of, your race, not because of your social status. Life is because of you. And I'm not trying to gloss over or be very general. I'm not a pull yourself by the bootstraps. I do understand the dynamics of social and all these different things. With that said, I do really understand that only the successful will take credit that they created it. But for those of us, when we don't have the results that we'd like, it's because of us. And it's not until we're willing to really see ourselves that we can really get forward. So that's what it is to me, Raquel. Like I just revert, I call myself out of my bullshit. I'm willing to go deep dive, look at like, where am I coming from? How am I showing up? And so when I'm with others, and they're trying to, I think we don't realize, but we'd like to guilt, fault, shame, blame a lot more than we might be aware of. And so when I hear that, or if you simply maybe not doing that, but you're just limiting yourself, I'm going to get you to believe in yourself. That's what Raqueling is. I'm going to call out where you're limiting yourself, and I'm going to get you to see that you're mad power, love, and light.
And you do that in the form of like questions, right? It's not like straight calling out. It's like you ask a provoking question.
Yes, because when you ask the questions, I always say this. Like, if I tell you, oh, Mike, I think that you X, Y, and Z, there's going to be by nature a biological resistance
Mm,
for many different reasons. But if I ask you a question and I see you connect the dots from what I'm seeing, because I don't have a blind spot to you, I'm seeing the full, view. And we have blind spots to ourselves. I love when people critique me. My daughter says, like, you're the only one that, like, it doesn't feel like a punch to my gut. To me, it's like, oh, really? How and why? And I get really curious because to me, you just gave me a cheat code. You just
mm,
revealed to me a blind spot that I might have not been aware of. And it doesn't mean that I go around believing anything that everyone tells me or critiques me, but I'm just like, I wonder why I came across that way. And so, yes, I like to ask questions because I want you to connect the dots, because when you get it from inside of you, your brain, your neural synapses actually had to wire that way. And now it's going to
mm.
be yours. That's going to go so much deeper than me telling you. It could just go in one ear and out the other. So definitely questions is a huge thing. We have a system called Archie that I created. Archie means accurate, A for accurate thinking, R for reasoning. Where's your reasoning coming from? So if, let's say, I was coaching you, I'd be like, I wonder why he's reasoning this way, why he's thinking. And so that will give me the questions to ask. If you're coming from low reasoning, conscious reasoning, or higher consciousness, right? And so low reasoning, for example, is if you're in your pride, you're angry, you're resentful, you're numb, you're anxious, you're in shame, guilting. That's low reasoning. Regular reasoning is you're just kind of open. You allow things to kind of land. You're curious. You're, kind of in acceptance mode. And then higher
Mm.
reasoning is when you're in very high logic and you're coming from actually love. Love meaning I am so self-assured in my own self that I don't feel threatened. And I love myself enough that I'm not seeking to get something from you. I'm not seeking your approval. I'm not seeking your agreement. I'm not seeking your subscription to me. I only have love for you. And so now I'm going to listen and ask questions from a very, very different place. So that's reasoning, right? C is like, okay, but are we being concise? Like, is what you're saying on point? Like, is that concise? And then holy means whole and complete for all parties involved. I is for infinite intelligence, like not the intelligence that was passed down from me, but to me, but rather like seeking intelligence of like things that I might not be second nature to me, but that have proven to be game changers. And so, and E is the embodiment of that. So that's how I create my system to know what to ask or how to help people.
Yeah, and I think I really resonate with what you said about, like, asking, like, if I want to get you to, if I want to Raquel you, I'll ask you a question that's going to make you unravel it yourself, because I'm a student of sales myself, and you know what they say in sales is like, when you say something, it doesn't matter, you need the prospect to say it. It's like, if I say, hey, you want to change your life, it doesn't matter, I need you to say it. I need you to see it. You know what I mean? So I think
100.
that's really, yeah, I think that's really resonates with me.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
What about the business? Tell us a little bit about the business, how social media has helped you grow. You said you blew up in like 2021. Did that have anything to do with social media, or was it like purely referrals?
It was purely referrals.
Mm,
I would say it was like 85, 90 referrals. And then social media did blow. Like, I do get a lot of referrals or people interested. Like I have had people tell me, oh, I've stalked you for 2 or 3 years before they finally take the plunge. So I definitely know that social media helps a lot. I just get really highly referred. That's like our number one bread and butter. However, social media for me has helped me that it gives me a platform. I don't have like a huge following, but I've had professionals look at my stuff and they're like, you don't have a huge following, but you have raving fans, or you have very engaged. Like they've looked at my metrics and insights, which I'm not really savvy with that. But when they've looked at it, they've told me you have a very high engagement. Like you have people on you like white on rice. Like they are like, if you post something, they're on it. And I don't necessarily get the likes or the shares. We've gotten a lot more shares lately. But with that being said, like people really have a lot of value. And so social media has given me it's allowed people to grow, to trust me via seeing me and share myself. And I'm pretty transparent and authentic when I am in social media. I'm not trying to pose like, I got it all together and I'm a coach. And nope, I'm just a person. And I just share my insights, how I got somewhere. And so for me, social media has been something that has allowed me to nurture my platform. And so eventually they end up, getting on a workshop or something.
Yeah, I really liked what you said about like somebody said they've been stalking you for 2-3 years before they hopped on a program with you. And I think that's amazing. And that's one thing with organic content, obviously a good following is good, 10K, 20K, 100K, it's good, but the engagement matters more. And that's why, just to say this, I put this out there, like what we do, we focus a lot on like organic stuff. Cause like once it's organic, right? Organic means like that people see you and they say, I want to follow you. It's not like, hey, come buy my stuff. You're not advertising your products or your coaching. It's organic. Hey, this is what I do. They see you, they like you, they follow you. And in terms of like, let me just put this in sales language. If someone follows you organically, they're always in that funnel. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Yes, they're always in that funnel. They're always in that funnel. Whereas if you run an ad to your program, if someone comes into that funnel and they don't buy, they're out of the funnel. They don't see you again. But if someone's organically your follower, they're always in that funnel. So like, as you said, they will still be watching your content. If they didn't buy or not, they will still be watching your content and quote unquote stalking you for years. And until they build that level of trust where they say, hey, it's almost like I know this person. This person is like a sister, a mother, an aunt. I want you to help me. You know what I mean?
100. I so agree with everything you said. And I've actually, like I said, I've heard that from a few people. And one of the things that I feel has helped me, like when people have looked into my metrics and seen that, wow, you don't have like what people would say, like you're not viral, but you have like raving fans, is that I think a lot of it gets lost. I just had somebody call me the other day. They were trying to pick my brain because they're trying to become a coach. They just want to get one client, and they were just kind of picking my brain. I was giving them all the ins and outs and all that. I see this a lot in a lot of coaching programs. They're promoting like the one-on-one is over. What you need is group. And it's like, what I need to make money or what the client actually needs? Because you're never going to tell me that the one-on-one model isn't the best thing for clients.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think that a lot of what the things that happen, I've never looked at my social media as like to do sales. If I get on social media, it's because I have seen what our system and what we do for people's lives. Like I've seen people come out of suicidal ideation. I've seen people save their marriage. I've seen people blow up their business. And so even if I serve an inkling, I don't need the reciprocation. I don't need you to be a client. I don't need you to be a customer, because in the end, I really believe that we are one. And your win, even if I don't know about it, I think it was Maya Angelou that said, you'll never know your legacy. Like when you go around just being you as you were created to be, which is amazing. Everyone has their own way of this greatness that we all have. And when you just concern yourself with that, just being the authentic, true, full expression of what you were created to be, you will never know your legacy. You will never know how much you touch. So I don't look at social media as this thing that I'm trying to get something from. And I think that that's almost like, if you want to go, not the law of attraction, but it's almost like it runs away from you because that's what you're doing. And to me, like I said, I've been very profitable when it comes to social media. I definitely get some serious like conversions. And that's not even what I've set out to do. I just really want to like drop knowledge. I really want to share, you know, to liberate people, because if you're not okay, I'm not okay. It's a butterfly effect.
Yeah. You know, I love what you said. I love what you said. And it's like, it all goes back to one thing. You know, I was talking to someone previously. It all goes back to not quote unquote gatekeeping, because a lot of coaches, and what the guy said to me is very important. I'll let you know what he said, because me personally, I feel like gatekeeping is the wrong way. Let's just say, even in business terms, let's just say you're not even trying to help people. You just want to make more money. Gatekeeping will not help you make more money. You think you have this special information that only you're only going to give to your paid clients and whatnot. But the truth is, that information that you're hoarding, my favorite guru is basically giving it away for free on YouTube, right? There's this 2025, there's no information that's not on YouTube, right? So what you should be selling is obviously your expert insight, accountability, you know, systems and all that. Yeah, because information in itself, there's no need to gatekeeping. There's no point gatekeeping it. It doesn't give you anything. And if you reverse engineer that, where you give them all the how do I say, all the information, and they feel like, if this guy is giving this much for free, man, I wonder what a program with him would be like. So like what the person said, just to let you speak, what the person he said was like, the people who gatekeep that, it's not like they're gatekeeping knowledge. They just don't have the knowledge. Because if you do have that knowledge, there's nothing, if you have the knowledge, you're going to share it, if you know what I mean.
100. And that just coming from scarcity. So that just shows you, if you're coaching, but you have that sense of fear and scarcity, then it's very shallow. It's very on the surface. I talk about Archie all the time. I share it, and people were like, Raquel, you need a trademark, and which we do, and we will. However, it's like, I don't care if like the whole world knew how to apply Archie and what it would do for their game, the quality of all of our lives would go up. Like, dramatically. So I'm not gonna gatekeep that, because to gatekeep something that can do good for another, I was raised that's sin. Like, if you could do good for another and you choose to keep that good from another, that's, you know, that's a sin. And so what I mean by that is, I'm not so shallow and surface that if I give you a lot of my systems, that means I don't have anything more to give. You know, I get what you're saying, that when you go to YouTube, all the information is already out there. Is it? Because yes, the surface level, but I'll give you information. I'll give you an example. When it comes to sexual abuse, I hear this all the time. I never heard that. Oh, I never thought about it that way. And so one of the things is that a lot of people that have been sexually abused struggle eventually in their marriages or their partnerships, because they get remembered or they get triggered to the sexual abuse. And one of the things that I teach in depth is like, but that wasn't sex. Yeah, that wasn't sex. That was physical abuse. And so when I break it down, and I have like a whole hour that I spend on this thing, and I show them how society, the social construct, is that that's sex. Unconsciously, we don't mean to set it up that way, but we do. And then I have a full hour that we go in depth, and I show you and I connect it, and you just get liberated, because you will never be triggered again, that, you know, to put them in the same spot. There's just so many things that I know have come original thoughts. I think that sometimes we think, oh, Aristotle, we listen to the greats of Socrates, but there's things that I have sat down with, and I'm like, that don't apply anymore. That don't apply anymore. And then we live in such a like binary, one-dimensional existence, good, bad, right, wrong. But there's so many dimensions Like that's why an Archie infinite intelligence, if you think you understand something, and that's why a lot of people say in healing, like, oh my gosh, I thought I already healed this. Oh my gosh, I thought I already got this. And then it keeps coming back. Yeah, because you're getting it from another dimension. You're getting it from another angle. And you're so stuck in wanting to get somewhere and have it all together that you don't realize, yes, you got it from this angle, but this angle gives you, and now you start to just really like connect the dots, and it can really go very far. And so, yes, I agree that a lot of people listen to, Proctor, Brian Tracy, like the good ones, and everyone's kind of just regurgitated and they give it their own spin, their own style, their own tone. It's scarcity, man. That's all I heard. Like, if I need to gatekeep, then I'm not that deep.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're surface level, exactly. Exactly. And I think that's it. I think we've talked about a lot of stuff. Let me ask you this and run this by you real quick.
Okay.
What is one thing you wish I asked you on this podcast?
It is one thing. Okay, let's see.
Mm.
I'm an open book, so any question is good. What is one? I like to ask people, what is, if you had one wish? So this is the question, I guess, that I would like for you to ask me. If you had one wish for the world, or one wish that you would see could change the world, like what would it be?
Okay, Raquel. If you had one wish that you could see would change the world, what would it be? What is one thing? What is one switch you would flip in an instant to change something in the world?
To shift the Schumann resonance scale, the scale of consciousness.
Schumann?
The Schumann resonance. Basically, the Schumann resonance is NASA's way of the frequency of the heartbeat of humanity. So it's basically the heartbeat of humanity. And it's the frequency that we create as a collective, right? And in order to shift that Schumann resonance scale, you would have to shift every human being's consciousness. So my biggest desire is to shift the consciousness of all people, because when you start elevating your consciousness, you become free. You become limitless, and you become free of just pain and suffering, and you really start to get into miracles and love and bliss. And consciousness, a lot of people think, is awareness. But if you think about awareness, I am aware of what I should eat, but we still have an obesity problem in the United States. We're aware that we should forgive, but sometimes we don't know how to forgive. So consciousness is an awareness. Consciousness is your thoughts and your feelings make up your state of being. Your state of being is your consciousness. So if we rise and raise our state of being into higher consciousness, we would just like be done with so much of what creates havoc and chaos in humanity. So that's my one wish, that consciousness be raised.
I think that's an amazing wish, and I think you have an amazing message in general. And it's not just amazing. It's one thing to be amazing, but it's unique. It's special. It's not something a lot of people come with, and that goes back to being surface level and all the cheap stuff. Yeah, it's really deep, and not just that, but there's also an amazing story behind it, an amazing comeback story, amazing triumph story. I think is that a message that maybe like one of your goals for 2025? I'm guessing is like to be able to share that message to the world and whatever platform you're using to do that, social media, whatever.
Yes, most definitely. I know I've run away from it for a long time. I've kind of like hid.
Yeah.
For the longest time, had it not been for COVID, I just wanted to keep the way I had, like a few clients a week. I was going to buy a condo in Mazatlan, retire on the beach, do yoga on the beach, and have a retreat every so often, and do my few sessions on Zoom. I was already on Zoom before, before
COVID.
It happened. Yeah, because I have clients in Japan and Germany and in the East Coast. So I was just gonna do that and just live,
Be comfortable,
exist. Yeah, just be like, what a concept that we get the right to just exist, and that was really what it was. And then when this started blowing up, my circle knows that I have resisted to like really be viral or blow up. I'm not doing that anymore. Like I've really come forward and stepped forward in the last 12 months because I see what we're going through as a nation, and we need to raise our consciousness. And so now it's not about me. It's not about my discomfort and being.
Yes.
It's more about like, let me be motivated. It's not about how I feel or what I don't want my little private life to, not be so private. I'm okay with that. And it just took a journey for me to get here. So now I am very open and I definitely want to do this. And yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Do you have time for me to share something that I got this morning?
Sure.
Okay. So, so a week ago, I was sharing back and forth voice notes with two of my friends. And one of them really does voice notes because she's not really like focused when she reads. And I'm a writer. And so I started to do voice notes, but I felt like it was coming across harsh. And so I started to go back to writing. And so then I shared with my friend, you know what? I know that it serves her for me to do voice notes, but I don't come across in what I really want to say. I think I do better when I'm writing. And she's like, yeah, in your writing, you just really are expansive. And in your communication vocally, sometimes you're just very harsh. And so that was like a week ago. So fast forward to this morning, I was reading a book on honesty and being authentic and transparent. And then I connected it to social media. And I was like, I really struggle coming across social media. And it was like, I don't care if I seem crazy or weird. So what is it? I started asking myself these questions and I was like, I know what it is. It's like, I don't want to say something that might feel unacceptable or that convicts someone. Because I'm used to in the one-on-one, I might say stuff and I don't mean to convict you, but what I ask you, it'll kind of self-incriminate, but I'm always there to hold your hand and walk in love with you, right? Where in social media, people could just take that as wrong. And then in that moment, I got it. Oh, it comes from, I express myself sometimes the way my mom was. And this is not like saying something negative about my mom, because I love her and she's my queen and I understand why she did life the way she did. And it's not a pathological excuse that I have for her. I've really like worked this out. But with that being said, my mom would be very crass. She would just blurt things out in the sense of honesty. But really, it was her projecting a lot of her hurt that she had. And so what I realized, I've struggled to be so open because when I speak, I can come across that way. And I didn't realize it till this morning that it was something that is modeled from how I learned to be from a very young age. But in my writing, I'm my own persona, free of past. And so I can express myself very different from the core of my being versus when I talk. Sometimes I can, I've been told you're blunt or like, dang, okay. So that's just, if I could just share that with people, always ask yourself, like, why am I resisting this? Where is this coming from? There's always going to be a deep answer there. And when you find those deep answers, they're going to liberate you and they're going to get rid of the old and make new, as Steve Jobs would say, and make space for the new.
Yeah, and I think that's an amazing way to bring it all together. And one second, Rico, just give me a second.
Yes.
Hello, Marcus. Yeah, I'm rounding up a meeting right now. Can you just give me like a couple minutes? I'll be in. Sure, man. Yeah, so Raquel, I have you now. What I was saying is like, what was I saying? What I was saying is like the way you picture it, when I said about like your message and the message and the story, it's amazing. And it's something that the people one thing I was saying, we'll speak about it after, but like the people definitely need to get that message because it's unique, it's different. And so where can the people, go to learn and find more about your work?
They can go to v-saga.com. v-saga.com.
So that's v-saga.com.
Yeah, so it's V like victorious,
Okay.
dash, it's like the little hyphen in the middle, and SAGA. And so it stands for Victorious Saga. Instead of living out outdated stories, create your victorious saga. And the little dash in the middle means you only get a little dash in life. And like, what are you going to do with that dash?
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And I think that people definitely, people in general, like it's such a unique stuff. And as you said, the people always like refer their friends to it. There's a reason why, I think this has been amazing. And I think hopefully we can speak some other time.
Yes, of course. And I wish you an awesome day, Mike. Thank you for having me.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?